So you want to buy a house in 2025 using your VA loan as a first-time home buyer? Well, I'm going to break down everything you need to know in today's video.
Jokes aside, you're planning to buy a house in 2025 and using your VA loan and you're a first-time home buyer. Well, I'm going to break down all of the steps, everything you need to look for to make this a smooth, easy process to help you purchase a home this year. So the first thing we need to do is find out if you're eligible for the VA loan. So there's a couple of parameters that we need to go by to make sure you're eligible for the VA loan in the first place, not including how much you qualify for, just you have eligibility for the benefit. So if during wartime you have served more than 90 consecutive days on active duty, you should have VA loan eligibility. Now, if this is during peacetime, you need to serve at least 181 days of consecutive active duty time to have VA loan eligibility. Now, if you're in the reservists or National Guard, you usually need about 6 years of service in order to be eligible for the VA loan. I also filmed an awesome video on that topic on my channel. So assuming you meet some of those criteria, you should be eligible to pursue a VA loan to purchase a house in 2025. So how do VA loans compare to other loans? Well, I'm going to start off by telling you it's the very best loan there is. There's nothing that's even close. You're going to have lower interest rates. You're going to have no down payment required if you have full eligibility. You're going to have no private mortgage insurance no matter how much or how little you put down. It's the best loan there is. On top of that, it's also the most flexible when it comes to underwriting, meaning if you don't have the best credit or maybe your debt to income's a little bit high, the VA technically has no limits or requirements when it comes to those two parameters. Only lenders do. And so if your lender is telling you need a 640 credit score to use your VA loan, find a new lender. That's not the truth. So the biggest benefit of the VA loan is the no down payment required. How is this going to help you as a first-time buyer? Well, a lot of people jump into this thinking they need 20% down. That's completely false. But the cool part about the VA loan is no down payments required if you have full eligibility. So basically, you don't need a ton of money to buy a house, even if you're active duty or maybe an E4, E5. I've helped many of people buy a house with those ranks, and so you don't need a ton of money to purchase a house. That's one of the nice things, and your interest rate isn't going to suffer, your monthly payment isn't going to suffer. Everything stays the same no matter how much you put down using the VA loan. So now that you know that you have VA loan eligibility, the next step is to get pre-approved. This process is super simple with most lenders. If it's complicated, find a new lender. It's definitely not that hard. The first step is to complete a mortgage application, usually done online, and then you submit some basic documents to us for us to verify everything that you put on the application. If a lender gives you a pre-approval without collecting documents, you don't have a pre-approval. You basically just have a pre-qualification where they've verified nothing, and that's where nightmares happen. So if you're with the lender right now and they've never requested any documentation but they gave you a pre-approval letter, find a new lender. They're doing you a disservice by not being thorough and doing their job up front, so that way everything's smooth later. So now you may be wondering, how do you find a good VA loan lender? Well, a lot of people default to going to the companies that spend the most on advertising, like the big name companies like Veterans United, whereas they're not related with the VA at all. You need to find a local expert to you that is very knowledgeable and does a handful of VA loans. Because if you call up any loan officer, they're going to say, sure, we do VA loans, but the majority of loan officers only do a couple a year. You don't want someone like that representing you, helping you do this big purchase for the first time. So one thing you always want to find out and ask is, how often do you do VA loans? Someone like myself, I do between 5 and 10 VA loans a month, and that allows me to have the experience that I need to help you make this process as smooth as possible. So outside of finding a good VA loan officer, you need to find a good VA loan officer at a good company, because the loan officer isn't going to dictate the type of deal you get. The company they work for is. And so what I always recommend is to shop around. Compare multiple lenders. All of them are going to have different interest rates, different fees, and that's going to equate to a whole bunch of different numbers for you as a consumer. So what I always recommend is to find a few lenders that you actually like and feel comfortable and confident with. And then after you go under contract, have them all send you their locked loan estimates, and you can really see who's going to give you the best deal. So one big mistake that I see a lot of first-time VA home buyers make is they don't know their numbers. Now what I mean by that is they don't ask, or maybe their loan officer does not go over their monthly budget with them. So when you work with me and my team, it's very important that you are comfortable with your monthly payment and everything's within your budget. The last thing I want to happen is for you to be house poor. However, most loan officers don't think like I do, and they just go ahead, pre-approve you, let you get under contract, but never talk numbers until you already have an accepted offer and have dropped off your earnest money. Now this can cause a whole bunch of shock later on, because maybe you didn't know what that monthly payment would be on the house you were offering on, and then when you get all the paperwork, you see, whoa, my payment's way too high, I don't want to move forward, and now you just wasted time and money. So the biggest piece of advice I can give to any first-time VA loan home buyer is to get to know your numbers. Find out what you're comfortable with, sit down and actually do a budget. Find out what you are comfortable paying each month, and then communicate that with your lender. They should be able to help you get a pretty accurate price range for what monthly payment you want to stay around. And when everybody's transparent like that and all the numbers are set up front, there's no surprises and no shock later, and everything goes smoothly. So now you've went through, found eligibility, you found a VA loan officer, you've got pre-approved, and maybe now you're under contract. What do you expect now? Well, a good loan officer would have taken care of everything you ever need to worry about before we even get to this point. Thoroughness is key because, again, it avoids surprises and shock later. Doing all the work up front is going to make this process as simple as possible. So assuming they did their job correctly and were extremely thorough, there's really not too much else left. The biggest part is going to be the VA loan appraisal, which I also filmed a video about if you're curious, but it's really smooth and simple after that. If everybody on your team did their job correctly with the real estate agents, the mortgage lender, this process is really simple, and buying a house does not have to be hard. Again, I beg you, if this process is seeming hard or overwhelming, or you're not getting what you're looking for as far as communication or even the good deal that you're wanting, reach out to me. Me and my team are in 48 states, and we can help almost anyone anywhere. I promise I will take really good care of you. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Hopefully this was a really good guide for any first-time VA home buyers looking to buy a house in 2025 or any year after for this matter. It shouldn't change too much. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Now you're ready to be a world champion homeowner in 2025.